Hello, and welcome to Law for Your Life. I am Carolyn Spring, a local estate planning and elder law attorney, and I'm your host for the show. So currently the show is in the middle of a series called Moving Mom, and it all started probably about a little over a year ago, and so what I'm doing is detailing the process of my own mother's move, starting a little over a year ago, until now, where she's currently settled in nicely in a local assisted living facility. I am detailing the process so that everybody will not feel as overwhelmed as I did, and I did know who to call for help, and I still felt overwhelmed with the process. So along the way, there are little bumps and glitches and good things also, and options. So today's show is about one of those options. Sometimes people will try to remain in their own home for as long as they possibly can, and usually that's a good thing, but sometimes it's not a good thing. So today's show talks about adult day programs. And what this does is the person who's in need of the assistance would go and spend a day away from the house, and it would free up the caregiver to also have a free day, so to speak. And there's many benefits, and there's different options, and so I'm very happy that our guest today is Tammy Pozerycki. She is the manager, owner of Pleasantries Adult Day Programs and Consulting Services located in the Marlborough area, so it's not too far. And Tammy, welcome to Law for Your Life.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. How long have you been doing this?
I am currently in my 7th year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is adult day health programs? Because I know that there's several different types out there, so can you cover the different types?
Sure. There's essentially two different models of adult day programs. One being the social supportive day model, and the other being medical health model. Okay, the two vary in great degrees. A medical model is actually governed by the state and licensed through the state, and has nursing care, has hands-on care, help with activities of daily living, such as bathing, dressing, grooming. But they also do have facilitated activities. In an adult day health medical model, you'll find a much larger group of people. They could have upwards of 100 people attend per day. 100 people per day?
Yes. So what's the staff ratio, do you know?
So most of them are usually like 1 to 6. You know, it depends on whether they have a small program within their program specialized with dementia care, but they have social worker on staff, they have home health aides on staff to assist with all those daily needs, and their age range tends to be a little bigger because they do deal with Department of Mental Health as well. And also Mass Health, Medicaid does cover adult day health medical model, okay, in the event the person qualifies for that. The social supportive day model is governed and overseen by the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, but there's no licensing requirement in the state for such an entity. And the social supportive day model is few and far between. There are very few of us, and mine specifically is in a home, a residential home, and we take upwards of 8 to 10 folks daily. So it's a much smaller focused program. And
so how much do you have? How many staff members do you have?
So for me, it's a 1 to 4 ratio. So when I get above 10 or so, 8 to 10, I'm looking at 3 staff folks. And we're not providing the hands-on care. The folks that do attend social supportive day model actually are very high functioning in that they are independent with their eating, their toileting skills, their socialized skills. My program specifically focuses on the early to mid stages of an Alzheimer's or other dementia disease process. So at Pleasantries, we are facilitating successful and failure-free activities all day. We do provide meals, adult day health also they can get their lunch
Right.
there as well. Most adult day health programs will provide transportation. Social supportive day models, most do not, because it's such a small group of folks. So it runs very similar to what you'd find in a child care center in a home. So the family
it's like-
drops
it's like
off.
daycare.
It is. It's exactly that way. Only a much higher level of respect and
Right.
dignity for the guests who attend. So, and the age ranges, I have folks in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So that's, I hope I've explained the difference. Social supportive day
Right.
model is private pay. Most long-term care insurance policies will cover that
Because
expense.
under the cognitive,
Yes, yes, but I have had rejections as well. And that to me is just the point in which they are not understanding what we're providing for the day. So that's in a nutshell.
so the medical model, more care is required by the patients or the residents or the attendees.
That's right.
They need more medical
That's
hands-on.
right.
Okay. So for let's talk, I mean, the medical, obviously, it's, so everybody gets a break. They get a break from being home, they get more stimulation, and the caregiver gets a break too and gets a free day, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And I know because my great aunt was a caregiver for my great uncle, and he had Alzheimer's, and he was very nice, but she needed a break a couple of times a week, so they would pick him up, they'd take him to a adult day, and it was medical model, and she would get a break.
And I think what happens is that, especially if we're dealing with Alzheimer's and other dementia, the disease is such a stigma and such an isolating disease for the married couple who were
Right.
going out with friends, who were social, who took trips. And then once the disease was found and diagnosed and progressed, what happens is that they isolate. They stop going out to restaurants, they stop going out with friends, and it's such a detriment to actually the individual with the disease process, because it actually makes it progress faster. And then for the caregiver, they have absolutely no outlet. And my program is encouraging the person with the disease process to start their own new social network of friends, and also allows the caregiver to do the same. But it's getting over the hump of that denial factor, that they are acknowledging that they need this for both of them.
So obviously, you just explained the purpose really well. It's a benefit to both. What would you say would be the frequency that a resident, or what do you call them? Do you call them guests?
Pleasantries, they're guests, because
Okay.
they are in my home. I mean, I don't live there. It is a second home that I bought specifically for this. But yes, they're walking into my home. They're a guest of my program. I have a minimum attendance of 2 days a week. I think that is bare minimum. I mean, you're talking there's 7 days in a week. I do have folks that do come Monday through Friday, which is wonderful, because with this type of disease process, the structure and the routine are huge to get them used to coming, and it actually is a wonderful precursor to getting them ready for maybe moving into an assisted living residence, because it's grooming them socially, getting them with other people, and separating them from the caregiver, because what happens is they stick like glue. They don't want to be without their caregiver, and it's a smothering, isolating situation. So I recommend the more days are better for both. Most of my guests obviously pick the minimum,
Right.
start off at 2. When the caregiver sort of gets that sense of freedom, and they see that their loved one actually comes home with a smile and is happy, they will then increase the days they come. So it's a progression for both of them,
No, I know that. My great aunt, she actually lived for the days that he would go, because it enabled her. She took up painting in her 80s. She went to a local class, and something she had never done before. but it enabled her to start to develop her life, because at some point in time he was no longer going to be there and she was still in good health. So it gave her that benefit also. So tell me about a failure-free activity.
Sure. Failure.
And typical also for the social model, and maybe typical activity for the medical model, because basically what I want you to do is run me through a day for both of the two models.
Sure. We're talking about, when we talk about failure-free, what we mean is that our program at Pleasantries focuses on abilities, the things that the persons can still do. We want to focus on setting them up for success, feeling good about what they're doing. Both medical model and social model, there's all types of activities. You have music programs, you have creative arts programs, you know, art therapy programs. There are game playing,
What type
trivia.
of games?
You know, at Pleasantries, we try to really work their minds, their bodies, and work that socialization aspect. So we'll do games like, you know, beanbag throw and rope ladder ball and things of that nature. We have a tabletop bowling. Most places you'll find such activity, balloon volley, things like that, which gets them going up and down, a physical exercise. Taking walks outside, huge. In the nice weather, getting outside is huge. Most of these programs, although my program is an extended day program, most medical models are much shorter. We serve breakfast at Pleasantries, so we start our day, we're open 7 to 6. So we can start our day as early as 7 and end it as late as 6, serving breakfast. We move into exercise and game playing and serve lunch, and then we're outside if we can. We do reminiscing and trivia, and sometimes we'll have entertainment come in. We take day trips, so we'll go to museums and fill our day by going to a restaurant as well. But really the focus is learning about the guest. What did they do for a living? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Breaking the group into those activities where they enjoy it and that they will be good at it. And my program specifically does that because I wholeheartedly deal with Alzheimer's and dementia, where a medical model is dealing with really all kinds of diagnosis. So, you know, what my folks need to do once they get to a point where they need a medical model is find a medical model that really caters and has a specific program within it.
Would that be like the Summit Elder Care up in Worcester?
Yes,
is
they
that a
actually,
medical model?
That is a medical model, and one of their programs has a smaller dementia component. I know Aging Well is actually focused more on that as well. And actually the state is coming out with better guidelines and requirements of medical models to accommodate their dementia population, which is wonderful. Because, you know, I feel very strongly that when you have a dementia population, the group needs to be small and focused. My folks who graduate my program and move into a medical model, sometimes they flounder. They just don't know which way to turn. Too many people, too many activities going on, too chaotic. But it's nice to see that the medical model is starting to kind of turn that corner and cater to that population in need. Another great alternative is memory care assisted living, if the person, the individual, has the money to afford that. And then there's always home care too.
Would long-term care cover some of the medical, the memory care assisted living? If they have a diagnosis?
Oh, yes, yeah. Most... What I
know
found,
you can't say all long-term care because each policy is different.
And in 7 years, I've had, you know, multiple great experiences with long-term care insurance, and then multiple bad. I had one woman who was thriving at Pleasantries, doing fabulous. The long-term care kicked it out because I didn't have a nurse on staff. I don't need a nurse on staff. That's the regs, and that's also not needed with this population. So the daughter had to pull her from my program and put her prematurely into a medical model. And it's not a good fit. It's just not catering to what their needs are. So I'm hoping that in the future, long-term care insurance will really understand the needs of the individual with dementia. So I don't know if that
They haven't yet.
No.
Not optimistic on that one, but at least some of them are being decent about it.
Right.
So memory care assisted living is similar to what you do.
Only they live there.
Right.
And they have very specific programming with failure-free activity. That's the key to a good program. You've got to know who your guests are, or residents. You've got to really set up, because I don't have a calendar. I don't have, say, 9 o'clock it's this, 10 o'clock it's this. We run on a normal, regular routine, but it depends on who's attending for the day on what we choose to facilitate for activities. I have a couple of men that love to take fishing rods and go down to the lake and go fishing. So, on the good day and good weather, we'll take them fishing. I mean, it's really trying to spark well, as my tagline says, create a better day for them.
So run me through a typical day. So I'm dropping my mom off at 7 in the morning.
Okay.
Although she doesn't really get up that early, though.
No.
So we'll say mom gets dropped off at 8.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be more realistic.
They walk in, and at Pleasantries, they are welcomed with a warm hug, just like family. Coat is hung. Assistance to the chair at the kitchen table. Coffee and breakfast is served. They smell the aroma of home cooking because I've already started preparing lunch at 6 a.m. in the morning. So they come in and they really, it's like going to your daughter's home. So it's very non-threatening. They sit down, they read the paper, I have all kinds of books and everything, but it's also socialization time for them to talk with one another, learn more about each other. And we help to facilitate that conversation as we're serving breakfast, which, by the way, is their choice. We serve a bunch of different things.
So if they want oatmeal?
Yep, they got oatmeal.
If they want Eggo waffles?
There you go. Whatever they want. And we know their preferences. We know how they like their coffee. We don't have to ask them. We know how they like their tea. We know if they don't like coffee or tea. Then once everybody has pretty much had breakfast, we really try to move them out into our sun porch area where we do formalized exercise, getting their bodies moving, waking up for the day.
So is it only chair exercise or is it actual stand-up?
It's actually both. We start in the chair, we get up as a group, and what I always reiterate is if anything hurts, if anything's uncomfortable, if they don't want to participate, they have the right to do so. And believe it or not, everybody just does, because everybody else is doing it, they're going to do it. And then we move into some formalized games, which right now, the group that I have, everybody plays, everybody loves it, a lot of laughter.
Like Scrabble and all that?
No, we do more of the physical games, getting up. They get up, they do their beanbag toss, their ring toss, their...
No jump rope, though.
No jump rope. Balloon volley. We always have music. And for my folks, I have folks that like classical, jazz, folk, oldies, 50s.
So what counts as oldies for that generation? I know what like our generation would be.
Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, the Rat Pack, and then, we wind down a little bit. We do a couple hours of that and then wind down before lunch. So we'll do more of cognitive stuff before lunch. So games, word puzzles, trivia, things of that nature to kind of get them calm. We move into lunch. Have our lunch, and again, another huge social time. Everybody's around one big table. And eating a great nutritious meal, having their coffee at the end and talking, and that's the key. And then leisurely they get up, and we actually have folks that participate in what we're doing as far as cleaning up after lunch,
so they help.
Setting the table. They absolutely do. When they vocalize, do you need any help? Would you like us? Absolutely, we're going to put you to work. They're looking for a purpose, and we're there to give them a purpose. We have a laundry basket of clothes that gets folded. We go in the back room, mess it all up, come back out. They do it again. We have folks that help with the dishes.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't know that you do that.
Right. But you have to be it has to be appropriate for the person doing it.
Right. They're not at the level where they wouldn't remember doing it every day if they did it every day, or?
Some would. So in other words, you have to choose the guest who would most benefit from helping, purposeful helping engagement, and doesn't remember doing it 3 hours ago or the day before. And they feel good about it. It's like when we have folks help us empty, a woman likes to help us empty the dishwasher. So we give her the tray of utensils and she puts them all away. And what do we have to do? We have to put it all back in the dishwasher, get it all re-sanitized. But that's what we're there for. We're there to help them feel good about what they're doing. We have a gentleman that comes in every day, and his job, it's his job, and he's verbalized that, is to put these puzzles together and then glue them together. And we have a space on our sunroom wall that we're hanging them, and they look like beautiful pictures. He loves doing it, So anything and everything that we can, it's about being creative.
It makes them feel needed, too.
Yes, and they need to feel that.
One of the things that we're running into is that for so many years, these, your guests, people in the assisted living, or someone needed them, whether it was their children or their spouse. And so now the kids are grown and have families of their own. Spouse may or may not have passed, and then they don't feel needed anymore. And so I'm finding that that's what's causing a decline.
Absolutely.
For a lot of them.
If they don't have a sense of purpose.
If there's no purpose,
right.
that they don't feel needed, if they don't feel productive. And I'll share a story. There was one time when my mother, we were over to friends, and my mother at this point was already living up here. And so it was last year, and my friend and I, whose house we were at, it was a holiday, and we worked out something that would be a task that my mother could do successfully during the meal in terms of, serving or clearing. So she loves to help. So fine. So instead of filling the soup bowl to the top, if my mother was carrying it, they were only filled halfway, so that we knew she could successfully serve the soup and not, we didn't have to worry about her spilling it. We didn't have to worry about her getting burned or anything like that. But that type of thing, it gave her a purpose, and I know it made her feel good, because she said, I really liked helping when I was driving her, back to her place.
If you think about what these folks did, I have a college history professor. I have a deputy fire chief. I have an electrical engineer. I have the head of an ICU. I mean, you just think of the level in which these folks functioned professionally and personally in their lives, raising 5, 6 children. And so one of my folks comes in every morning. Her job is to make the salad, and she makes her salad.
Right.
I had a wobbly coffee table. It was a small table to put drinks on. And he's, this needs to be fixed. He goes, you got a screwdriver? And I said, absolutely. I went and I got a Phillips head screwdriver. He did what he could on it, and he got it stable. I mean, he felt wonderful. The fact he fixed my table, So it's just about those little things, and those little things go a long way, So.
Yeah, because I'm finding also that in a lot of the assisted living and certainly, some of the independent, because a lot of independents are independent, but some independents are more assisted, and it all kind of depends on where they fall out and where the residents are. But there's nothing there that really makes them feel needed or lets them help in any productive way in the facility itself.
That needs to be really looked at, because I really think a lot of times you see things like with dementia, you'll find behaviors happening, wandering, things of that they're looking for things to feel needed and to feel purposeful. And it is so simple to come up with things.
Simple.
Just got to do it. Just got to make them feel like they're part of something.
Right.
you know.
Well, I know some places also have residence councils that
Right.
they'll sit on. So, you know, that probably does make them feel needed, that, you know, we're helping to run the place. So you ran through your typical day, which actually sounds a lot like my kid, you know, daycare for children, which is good because, you know, the kids always come back happy and tired. And so a medical model, how would that differ in terms of the daily activity, or would it be similar?
I think it would be, well, I haven't spent an entire day at a medical model, but I've certainly got a good picture. Again, I think it's a wonderful service for a lot of people. Lots of activity, lots of socialization, lots of assistance when needed. They can do medication administration too, which is a big deal. We don't do that. But they do facilitate different types of activities. I have, you know, the one thing I would recommend to all facilities is be careful of how infantile an activity might be, childlike an activity might be. There's lots of things physically, artistically, musically that we can do with these folks that are above the board, that are not preschoolish, you know, and I think that's really important to note. But it's probably very similar, a much shorter day, because a lot of these folks
Like 9 to
end
3 or something?
Yeah, like 9 to 3, which can be tough on a caregiver who's working.
Well, it's
But,
impossible.
you know, then they'd have to maybe hire supplemental home care.
That's what a lot of them do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's doable. It's just, you know, I want to see more specific dementia care, so.
So I see that our time is running low, extremely low. And I want to thank you, Tammy Pozerycki from Pleasantries Adult Day Programs and Consulting Services, for
Thank
being
you.
my guest here on Law for Your Life. And to you at home, I thank you for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions for either Tammy or myself, you can reach us here at the TV studio. Certainly all of our contact information is available online as well. And I hope you will tune in to next month's show when we will have a different topic in the Moving Moms series, and possibly from the vault. So I thank you very much for being here, and everybody have a good day.